Before we get started with the video, I just wanted to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell, like and share the video, and leave a comment down below. Please do, by the way, because I actually do respond to all of those myself. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Mike, and it's no secret that Star Wars has and continues to majorly affect pop culture ever since the first film hit the big screen all those years ago. And most recently, we have gotten a new entry into the lore created by George Lucas long ago in a galaxy far, far away. This is Mike's After Action Reviews, and today we are doing the After Action review for Obi Wan Kenobi on Disney+. So guys, there is a lot to unpack with this show, and I may miss some things or may just have excluded them from my notes here as we go for time, because this is probably going to be a long one. You guys will be able to see as we start the video, but as I'm recording right now, I don't know how long this is actually going to go, okay? So bear with me, and if there's anything that I miss, please do let me know in the comments section down below, okay? We all love Star Wars, or at least if you've clicked on this video, you probably do, and I do as well. That's why I'm here doing this video, and so I'm sure that there are going to be a bunch of things that a lot of people have to say about the show. So like I said, let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, we are going to jump right in, starting with the film, well, not the films, the series production. So this was on Disney+, and there is two production companies that were involved in its creation. And that is Lucasfilm, which is most well known for the Mandalorian series from 2019 to present. And again, I will just remind you guys, as I did in my last video of a movie, I go off of what IMDb says. So IMDb says that Lucasfilm is most well known for the Mandalorian series from 2019 to present, okay? We all know they did Star Wars, so yeah, that's how I know them anyway. They most recently did the Book of Boba Fett series in 2021, and I did a review of the Book of Boba Fett, so you guys should go check that out over on my blog. Then we also have the Walt Disney Company, which is most well known for Lightyear, which just came out earlier in 2022, and then Trevor the Musical, which is on Disney+, that's their most recent work, and that also came out most recently in 2022. So, this show was written by Joby Harold, who is most well known for Army of the Dead in 2021, and then most recently, other than Army of the Dead in 2021 and this show, he did the movie King Arthur, The Legend of the Sword. That movie did not receive very good reviews. I liked Army of the Dead. It was a fun movie, not too deep or, not some great big thing, but King Arthur, Legend of the Sword was not so good. And by the way, just about the production companies, I know The Mandalorian is highly acclaimed. The Book of Boba Fett was kind of mixed. I liked it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't great, but I thought it was okay. Lightyear is bombing right now at the box office and is mired in, controversy, leading to it's not doing well financially. And then Trevor the Musical I haven't seen because it's on Disney+, and I never have even heard of it. Even though I have Disney+, I didn't hear about it until I was doing research for this video. So, the second writer that we have is Hossein Amini, who is most well known for Drive from 2011. I saw that movie. I thought it was very slow and kind of artsy. And so artsy film people might like it, but for me it was just a little bit dull. And then most recently has done the Alienist series. He wrote 3 episodes in 2018. And then the third writer that we have is Stuart Beattie, who is most well known for Interceptor. In 2022, earlier this year, that was released on Netflix. It has Chris Hemsworth's wife in it, so everybody's freaking out about that. And then, most recently, other than this show and that movie, most recently did Danger Close in 2019, which is kind of a B movie. Okay, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. Then we have the director. So this was directed by Deborah Chow, who is most well known for directing 2 episodes of The Mandalorian over its entire runtime. So over the 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, she directed 2 episodes. Okay, and then also directing... most recently, she directed 1 episode of American Gods, the series, which has run from 2017 to 2021. So I looked at Deborah Chow and I said, she is not the most experienced director, just from seeing basically what I just said, what she's most famous for, and what she has done most recently equals, put all that together and you got 3 episodes from some TV shows. I don't know about the American Gods, how good it is. I think it's a good concept, but I don't know how good it actually is. And then The Mandalorian I did like, so I like that. So take that with a grain of salt as far as the director here. And then the music was by, so we had 2 people listed for the credits of the music. Natalie Holt, who did... she's most well known from being the composer for Loki in 2021, and then most recently did Fever Dream also in 2021. Then we have John Williams, who is most well known for Star Wars in 1977, and then most recently did Star Wars Episode 9: The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. So overall, I would actually say that the production here is pretty all right. The only thing is the writing. As always, we get into the writing, and I think the writing just was not very good. Joby Harold, I liked Army of the Dead, and then you see that he did King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which was not so good. And I was like, you had a good run with Army of the Dead, but then just everything else I've seen him in, some other things I've seen him in, he just has not done very good. Then you have Hossein Amini, Drive. I haven't seen The Alienist, but Drive I thought was kind of dull. I haven't seen Interceptor or Danger Close, but I know that Danger Close is a B movie. I don't know how well Interceptor is. But it just seems like the writing staff here just was not built to be a big production, Like, we're not talking about people who are going to write the first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. Now, we're talking about people who are going to write the last half of Game of Thrones. We'll put it that way. That's, I think that's what I'm going to say from now on when I'm talking about good writers. This is the last half of Game of Thrones style writing, not the first half. So, anyway, moving forward, we're going to get right into the plot here. So we have 6 episodes, each of them being around an hour long. So the IMDb plot summary here for the episodes is as follows. Jedi Master Obi Wan Kenobi has to save young Leia after she is kidnapped, all the while being pursued by Imperial Inquisitors and his former Padawan, now known as Darth Vader. I have to applaud IMDb here because that is very accurately exactly what is going on, although I would say that Darth Vader doesn't so much pursue him directly as he does through the Inquisitors. But they do say, pursued by Imperial Inquisitors. So, yeah, okay. I'll kind of get into what I think exactly of the plot in just a second here, but I do want to say that there was a good opening to the series. With a flashback to the Jedi Temple, a lot of people really like that. So this was a flashback to the Jedi Temple during Order 66. You see the Jedis, just being awesome in all of their glory, fighting off the clones. It's unsuccessful, but you do get those awesome Jedi battle scenes. Even weak Jedi, like the Jedi you've never heard of, because they're just little extra people, are so freaking awesome in their choreography, the battle scenes and stuff like that. Then you have some younglings trying to escape in this flashback, and then we jump to Obi-Wan kind of living a normal life on Tatooine, because of course this is after everything that happened in the first, episode 1, 2, and 3. He's living a normal life. He works as a meat processor. There's this big dead animal like out in the desert, and they actually go into the dead animal, cut meat off, and you see him like cutting the meat and preparing it. So basically he's living, a depressed, normal life after the Order of the Jedi has fallen. He's supposed to be, like in the lore and even, some of the things that they said at the end of episode 3, he's supposed to be kind of preparing, biding his time, training, waiting for Luke to get old enough so that way they can kind of make their move and try to revive the Jedi. I mean, that's actually what the whole purpose of the whole episode 4, 5, and 6 is all about. So, the plot of this movie being about Leia being captured, I think was a bad decision, though. So basically, this is the entire show. So the entire show is literally about Leia being captured. At first, I thought it would be maybe like 1.5 episodes, and then Obi wan Kenobi would do something else for the rest of the show. For instance, let's say that Leia gets captured by, like pirates or something, or even the Inquisitors, but let's just say she just gets captured. Obi wan Kenobi goes there to save her, and then, maybe they don't even know that it's Obi wan Kenobi, but it's just a Jedi to them, and so he goes there to save her. Maybe he gets captured and saves her, but then gets captured, or something happens and he has to fight some other enemy, and so that would be like maybe 1.5, episodes of him doing that, and then basically like 4.5 episodes of him fighting off this other enemy unrelated to Leia. And so I was just disappointed because it just gets dragged down. One thing, because Obi-Wan rescues Leia, and then she gets captured again immediately, and then the rest of it is basically him trying to capture her again, leading into the finale and the end of the show. So I was like, man, this is... You got 6 episodes, and you used all 6 of them. You used like 3 of them to rescue her once, and then the last 3 to rescue her again. Right. Okay, yeah. So I think that everybody kind of expected this to be like the beloved book called Kenobi, which I have read. And if you read kind of behind the scenes, like in the back covers, they have the little prologue and epilogue to the book, talking about how they wrote the book, where the idea came from. And the challenge was that in the extended universe of Star Wars, somebody said like, hey, can you write a Star Wars Western? Because Star Wars has all these different genres. They have horror, romance, drama, war, all this different stuff, even zombies. And basically, this guy had an idea. I'm going to write a Star Wars Western. The book centered around the character Obi-Wan, so it was like completely about Obi wan Kenobi and his life on Tatooine as he dealt with some threats that were going on near the Owen, Luke's uncle's farm, and he basically had to deal with that in order to protect Luke. And it had this Western theme with him being on Tatooine. It's odd. I just want to say that it's odd that they didn't go more in that direction of him being on Tatooine and kind of having his own little separate adventure, exploring his character a little bit more. Because the book had a Western feeling, which would transfer very nicely onto the screen, much like they did with The Mandalorian. So basically, think of if you took The Mandalorian and removed The Mandalorian himself and put Obi wan Kenobi as the main character, that's more of what people were kind of you're thinking this was going to be, because that's what the book was, and this is basically based off the idea of the book. Like, what did Obi wan Kenobi do after, after Order 66 and after all that stuff as he was watching over Luke on Tatooine? Instead of that, though, we got a show about Leia and the new character Reva, and actually Obi wan Kenobi takes quite a back seat, and so for me the plot was just the writing here did not lead itself to be some great epic tale. I did not like that. I do want to note also that Bail Organa takes Princess Leia with the specific purpose of protecting her, and Luke is taken to Tatooine and Obi wan Kenobi's place to watch over him with the specific purpose of protecting him. So why is it that Bail Organa really skimped on his end of the bargain and never has Leia having any security? Like, Leia should basically be under lock and key, because that was the vow that Bail Organa made. He said, like, I will protect this child no matter what. Instead, we end up getting Well, we end up getting what we got, okay? And so I was like, it's not... I don't know. I just did not like the premise of this. I thought that the idea was really cool to explore what Obi wan Kenobi kind of did and how he dealt with certain things after everything happened in episode 1, 2, and 3. But I did not. And then when they started to write, I was like, this is just, I could just imagine if I had been there as they're starting to write this out and they're like, what if we made it about Leia? Like, you guys didn't even include Luke. Like, Leia should be off with Bail Organa. Luke should be the main thing here. Would have been cool to see Kid Luke maybe growing up a little bit or something, and Obi wan Kenobi being involved in that or anything, but just even if it was like he was secretly involved off to the side, and I don't know. I had a hard time with this. So there you go. I don't want to get too long-winded because we do have a lot to get through. So moving on to the characters and acting, though, we only have 4. We have 4 main characters. They're the only ones that are really, it's not like a huge ensemble here, so I did appreciate that as I was writing my notes, because sometimes you get like 6, 7, 8 characters, and you're like, man, there's too many characters. But anyway, so we have Ewan McGregor, and he plays Obi wan Kenobi. Now, Ewan McGregor is most well known for Moulin Rouge from 2001, and also The Birthday Cake in 2021 is his most recent project, other than this show. Excuse me. Now, IMDb says Moulin Rouge, but actually I think that most people just know him as Obi wan Kenobi. So, I don't know, but that's what IMDb says. First of all, I want to say that Ewan McGregor's acting is the best part of the show. Unfortunately, the writing is bad. Obi wan Kenobi acts much like Luke does in The Last Jedi, which I think is just terrible. He's kind of given up. He tells others to give up.
You want my help? Take this. Walk into the middle of the desert and bury it in the ground.
What about the fight?
The fight is done. We lost.
He's kind of weakened here. I don't like this because what is with Disney taking our heroes and just crapping on them? I mean, seriously, why would anybody be interested in seeing characters that they love act like characters that are not the characters that they love? It doesn't make any sense. And what actually sucks about this in the lore and how this was supposed to go is that Obi wan Kenobi was supposed to go to Tatooine to train in the Force. This is specifically mentioned in Episode 3. So he was supposed to go there and train in the Force and prepare Luke to fight back when the time is right. So as Luke gets older, he trains him in the ways of the Force. But actually, he himself was supposed to train in the Force and become very close with the Force because of learning how to communicate with Force ghosts. So it makes no sense that he's basically just given up. Like he came here with a purpose, and that purpose was to not give up, was to preserve hope. I mean, Episode 4, it is Star Wars, A New Hope. Now, it was originally just called Star Wars in 1977, but as they decided to go on with... because George Lucas actually wrote this huge script, and it could have fit in 3 movies. It was supposed to just be 1, but they said, look, make basically 1/3 of that script and make it 1 movie, so they called it Star Wars, okay? The whole thing, Episodes 4, 5, and 6, was supposed to be Star Wars. Like George Lucas originally, my understanding was he wrote Episodes 1 through 6, called it Star Wars, and they said, no, this is too many. Pick one section of this and make that. So, yeah. Anyway, so the whole purpose of him is to preserve the hope, though. Preserve hope for the Resistance, for the Republic to come back, for the Jedi to rise again. And instead we end up getting like this really weakened, broken down guy who does not seem like he gives a crap about preserving hope or waiting for the Jedi to rise again. So, he has some mental trauma, and he even hallucinates Anakin. Like Anakin, not Darth Vader, like Anakin as he was before. He got all burned up and stuff, which is interesting. I was disappointed because he's like socially weak and timid here. Basically, we have him going around with Leia's character and some other characters, and they just, like, lead him around and tell him what to do.
Father, aren't you going to say hello?
Hello. We just need directions.
Come on, Father. We've walked long enough. Thanks, Fred.
Even though he's basically supposed to be Leia's protector and kind of in charge of her, she's basically in charge of him. She treats him almost like a servant or a bodyguard, and I'm like, this is the last Jedi Master of the of the Jedi Order, other than Yoda, and nobody else knows where Yoda is. So basically, he's it, man. And yeah, just I did not like that. I was really disappointed in that. He's also seems to be very physically weak, while so he's basically pretty physically weak in most of what you see him do here. While other non-Jedi characters, when they get into fights and you see some of the action scenes, they just seem to outmatch him. Like, it does not seem, until basically the final, finale of this show, it does not seem like he has any ability at all. Like, any normal character would just be able to come up and take him out and crumple him up like a tin can. Yeah, and I mean, I just think that the writing here was designed in such a way to almost bring in these new characters, and I've said this before, almost bring in these new characters, make them seem really cool, introduce them into the lore through the lens of calling it Obi Wan Kenobi, but actually this is more about Reva, played by Moses Ingram, who we're going to get into a little later. So then we have Princess Leia, who is played by Vivian Lyra Blair. She is most well known for We Can Be Heroes, from 2020, and she also played in Bird Box in 2018, which is her most recent thing other than We Can Be Heroes and this show. So, she is a child actor. She looks and even runs, like you see her run, and she actually looks like she is about 5 or 6 years old. The character is 10 years old, and I believe the actress is 10 years old as well. But I have a 2-year-old who's about this tall. He's 3, excuse me. I have a 3-year-old who's about this tall, and that's as tall as she is. And you guys might not get the best perspective, but basically, she is really short. I have a 12-year-old nephew who, if he stood up, he'd be way up here, almost as tall as I am. I could see her. She should be standing next to me as I'm sitting in a standardized chair. A 10-year-old should be maybe this tall. She's down here. She's about half the size that she should be. I have no idea what they were thinking with that, and she looks goofy because like I said, even the way she runs and everything, she looks like she might be like a midget or a dwarf. Sorry, someone with dwarfism, like a dwarf. But she's not. She's just like a regular 10-year-old. I guess she's just like a regular 10-year-old actress, and she just looks really small. To me, anyway. Maybe she has dwarfism, which is fine. I'm not really ragging on the actress as far as her acting. I'm just saying, like, why wouldn't you get someone who kind of looks more like she's the age that your character is? So, she talks to adults in this show like she is kind of almost like they're superior. Normally, we would see a child who acts the way that she acts as a spoiled, arrogant brat. But the show tries to basically just tell us that she's really special and awesome and that we should just listen to her because she's so great. And it really gets way over the top. Like, there's literally times where I'm like, no kid this age talks like that. And if they did, they would get a spanking. Okay? Yeah. The biggest problem, too, is just that, and all of this more so has to do with writing, by the way, than it does the actress necessarily. There are some stuff about the actress that I'll get into, but the character is inconsistent. She's kind of depicted as being very mature for her age, and uncharacteristically intelligent for her age.
You think the less you say, the less you give away. But really, it's the opposite.
How old are you?
10.
You don't sound like you're 10.
Thank you.
But then she also never listens to Obi-Wan, who's her protector here and kind of in charge of her.
Leia! No!
And she almost dies multiple times due to that.
Ow!
It basically the way that the show is written and her character is written is that she is as stupid or as smart as the show writers need her to be at any given time. So that way she does something really stupid to keep the plot moving forward, or she does something really smart so that way the characters can kind of like get out of trouble that they're in and continue, like I said, moving the plot forward. It's so dumb, it makes no sense. Yeah, so that's basically what I've got about her. Again, guys, no, this is not an insult to the actress herself. I think that probably she did the best that she could with what she was given at her age as a child. And the writing here just was not the best. Then we have Moses Ingram, who plays Reva, or the third sister Inquisitor. Moses Ingram is most well known for The Tragedy of Macbeth in 2021, which actually had Denzel Washington in it. And I haven't seen it, but my understanding is that it was very good. Okay, and then also most recently did Ambulance in 2022. She is the main antagonist, but she's also kind of a protagonist, but she's not a very good one. I think this is one of those kind of like, you meet, like there's a hero and a villain, but then the villain is kind of sympathetic. Yeah, and so the show or movie or whatever it is basically trying to get you to almost kind of root for the villain while at the same time rooting for the hero. It's one of those types of situations. Her narrative, and, you know, basically the problem with her character as far as being, you know, that mix between being an antagonist and a protagonist in the context of the show is that her narrative arc and her narrative and her character arc are the driving force of the show. Not Obi wan Kenobi, not, you know, we're more exploring Reva's character than we are exploring Obi wan Kenobi or even Leia. Really, they don't do a whole lot with Leia as far as really exploring her character. They just kind of present her here. Obi wan Kenobi, we don't really get like we don't really get an arc, because knowing what we know about Obi wan Kenobi coming into this, there are some things that are a little bit different than you may expect, but then he just basically becomes who he normally was. He basically becomes what you would expect him to be in the beginning. He becomes that by the end. So it just kind of feels cheap. But anyway, there's not really much of an arc for any character or character exploration other than Reva.
Who?
The problem is that she's supposed to be an Inquisitor and also this third sister thing who's a Sith, but she's not intimidating at all.
You think you could protect him from me?
Tell me where the Jedi is, or this man and his family die!
There are multiple times where she's like yelling at people and talking to people, and all you're going to be thinking to yourself is like, why are you acting this way? Why just... It doesn't scare anybody. Like, Darth Vader is scary. Even the other guy. There's another guy that they have. He's not the Grand Inquisitor, who's one of the kind of side characters here. I think she's the third sister, and he's like one of the other Inquisitors. He looks way more intimidating than she does. Now, the Grand Inquisitor, we'll get into him later, but she just does not have any intimidation, any fear. She doesn't feel like a Sith. Like, we're not getting Darth Maul here, who's really cool, and any of that stuff. There are some things revealed about her character that make absolutely no sense. I don't want to get into spoilers, really, so I'm not going to really put that forward, but as her character kind of blossoms, some things happen, and some things are revealed that just makes no sense, and are actually kind of irritating. Yeah. So then moving forward, we have Hayden Christensen, who reprises his role, just as Ewan McGregor has. He reprises his role as Darth Vader and also Anakin Skywalker. He is most well known for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith in 2005, and then most recently has done The Last Man in 2019. He is the one main character not really destroyed by the writing here. His acting is fine. We don't get a huge amount of his like just him actually acting. We do get some memory sequences with him. I do just want to say, so Disney is never going to mess up Darth Vader because he's the one character that they really need to stay the way that he was, but the writing for him is always like top notch. They probably bring in like a special writer just for Darth Vader. Like, we don't care about any of these other amateur writers. Bring in it's like in Disney World, there's only one Mickey Mouse. Like, there's only one actor who plays Mickey Mouse, and he's very well paid, to my understanding. And he's very good at being Mickey Mouse. Well, there's probably one guy out there who like really, really writes for Darth Vader and knows Darth Vader. So every time they do one of these projects, and that's just speculation, though. I'm just saying, like, they do not mess up his character, because if they did, they would completely destroy this franchise. But there's some interesting stuff about him that I want to say. So for one thing, we see him in a memory sequence, and as he's Anakin, young Anakin, he makes the quote,
"Mercy doesn't defeat an enemy, Master. Which is why you're gonna lose."
And immediately I looked at my wife and I said,
"Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir!"
How does this, like, nobody realized that this guy was going to become evil? Like, they didn't really ruin his character, but it's just funny to see that, you know, in the original movies, he was a troubled character. He had some anger. He was dealing with some things, but he never really revealed that. But here in a memory sequence where he's training with Obi Wan Kenobi, he blatantly just comes out and is like saying things that sound like a brutal Sith. It's just a funny thing. But one thing though is that in those memory sequences, they have this. It's actually done really bad, which is interesting because a lot of the stuff is done well as far as the CGI and how things look here, but. He basically looks like old man Anakin.
Oh, there you are.
Are you?
Anakin Skywalker is supposed to be like, what, 18, 19, maybe not even 20 years old in the original, like, episode 1, 2, and 3. This is 10 years later, so he should be 30 now. But still, when he would have been training with Obi wan Kenobi, he was, like, super young. And I don't look old. But I'm 28. I'm turning 28 this year. And he had bags under his... He didn't even look young. He didn't look like I look old. He looked old. He looked like he was about 40. Like, it was ridiculous. And then, actually, if you've seen online, they've done a bunch of things where there's, like, a guy who went in and digitally de-aged him himself and showed Disney and Lucasfilm, like, hey, why didn't you guys do this? These guys have to get this. Like, this stuff is important. If there's one character that you're really not going to mess up, as I said, it's going to be Obi Wan Kenobi and it's going to be Darth Vader and Luke. But they've already messed up Luke. They've already messed up all the legacy characters, so they might as well come for Obi Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. But I think that yeah, it was a big mistake not to digitally de-age that guy a whole lot better than they did. For one thing, though, again, like I said, they never messed this guy's character up as Darth Vader with the suit on. Here is an awesome fight scene with another character. It's totally cool. He beats this other character without even drawing his lightsaber. It's really awesome. No spoilers, so I'm not going to tell you about it, but it is totally awesome. So if you took like Rogue One, the fight scene with him in Rogue One, and then the fight scene with him here, and you just kind of put those two together and made a little compilation of all the best moments of Darth Vader, that little 15-minute, maybe, well, not even 15-minute, maybe like 10-minute video, 10-minute or less video that you'd have would have been probably better than the entire series Obi-Wan. So, I mean, you know, Obi wan Kenobi, so, you know, just think about that. So that's it for the characters, though. Basically, I think the acting, especially so for Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, I think the acting was really well. No offense to Vivian Lyra Blair, who plays Princess Leia. She was just probably too young, and she didn't look the part. Probably not the best cast character. Why wouldn't you get somebody who looks like they're 10 if they're playing a 10-year-old character? I don't know. And then Moses Ingram, she just wasn't intimidating. She just did not capture the evil Sith kind of, you know, Sith are supposed to be basically these ruthless, you know, BA, hardcore, just, yeah, amazingly awesome warriors, and she just did not feel that way to me anyway. Okay, so yeah, but we're gonna move into the miscellaneous section here, and there's a lot of miscellaneous stuff, so I'm try to get through it as fast as possible, so bear with me as I move a little quick through this. Okay. Going down the list, I do just want to say it's interesting to see Owen, who is Luke's uncle. He doesn't like Obi wan Kenobi. He basically wants to protect Luke from everything. Luke at this point is 10 years old. Leia's 10 years old. But he wants to protect Luke from everything. So you see him interact with Obi wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan is like, hey, look, we got to start training this kid. And Owen is like, no, you're not doing any of that. Get out of here. You know, you trained his father, and his father, you know, turned to the dark side and all of this, and it was terrible, so don't even mess with that. I thought that was cool. In fact, probably the show should have been more about things like that, like dealing with raising Luke or being part of Luke's life as even a secret protector that even Luke doesn't know about and things like that. One thing is that in one of the episodes they have this, and it kind of persists through this one character who is a fake Jedi. So the idea of a fake Jedi kind of exploiting people much like fake psychic people do today is interesting to me, especially after the Jedi have all been wiped out and they're kind of these like legends. Some people don't even necessarily believe in them, like that they ever existed by the time that episode 4, 5, and 6 come around. Like Han Solo talks about like, oh, I don't believe in in any of that Force nonsense, you know. But it was pretty cool to see like the fake psychic thing. I thought that was interesting. One thing too, positive thing here is that they do have some cool visuals with Darth Vader. Every chance that they get, Disney is going to try to do some cool visual stuff with Darth Vader's suit and what they can do. You know, like you see Darth Vader's suit slowly, the helmet come down, and then the pieces all come together, and it looks pretty cool. So that was pretty cool. There is an underground group, which I would classify as kind of similar to the actual historical group known as the Secret Railroad, which helped slaves during, you know, kind of Civil War times. Excuse me, or a little bit before Civil War times. This group in the Star Wars universe is called The Path, and they basically help Jedi and Force-sensitive children escape the Empire, or just fugitives from the Empire. This is kind of the prerequisite to a true rebellion. And so, yeah, so that was kind of an interesting thing to explore. So those are kind of 4 points that are actually kind of good, and I thought were interesting, and I thought that they probably should have explored all of this a whole lot more, but they didn't. It went kind of off the rails. So yeah, it was going off the rails from here. So the rest of the review is going to kind of be not so good stuff. So for the first thing, and this is something that people even said as soon as they saw the promotional material, is that the Grand Inquisitor looks bad. So if you compare what you see like of the Grand Inquisitor's race, the alien race that he is, if you see, I think it's episode 3, they show one of his alien race, and they actually look really cool and really nice. But in this show, the Grand Inquisitor looks like a dude with a balloon head. Like, it looks really bad. Hopefully you guys can see the image up here. I'm putting in an image up here. Look at this guy. He does not look the coolest. And the actor who plays him, again, no offense, I've seen him in other stuff. He's all right, but his voice just not like Darth Vader is.
I have you now. You have failed me for the last time. Join the dark side.
This guy's like, I am the Grand Inquisitor. I grow weary of your ambition. He doesn't sound exactly like that.
I can stand the reek of your ambition no longer.
But I mean, imagine, you know, even I have not the coolest voice. You would not want me to play your villain in a, you know, you wouldn't want me to play a Sith character in a Star Wars movie just because the Sith are supposed to not just be bad guys, but they are like evil incarnate. So he looks weak. I didn't like that. Looks and sounds weak. The Grand Inquisitor tells people in the first episode, there's a scene where basically the Grand Inquisitor and all these Inquisitors are walking around, they're looking for a Jedi, and he basically says to the people in this cantina, this bar, he says like,
Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. So what is the Jedi to do? Now, if he were smart, he'd keep moving, but the Jedi code is like an itch. He cannot help it, so he steps in and saves your saloon.
This is basically an admission that the Jedi are good and the Empire is bad. Now, the whole basis for the Emperor doing Order 66 and becoming the Emperor is the fact that basically he said that the Jedi had tried to assassinate him and that they were evil. And they were an evil group of people, and that it was all a trick, and all these years the Jedi have been doing all this stuff, but actually they're bad now. So the clones are going to go kill him, and make me the Emperor, and I'll end this war. That's basically what it was. And so 10 years later, going around spouting off how the Jedi were actually the good guys, and how their religion and all the stuff that they believe in was not evil, is that's kind of undermining the whole propaganda that has been perpetrated by the Emperor and, you know, Darth Vader all of this time. So that was kind of silly and stupid. I thought that was really, really bad. But yeah, and then to show himself as the Grand Inquisitor doing evil things to draw out the Jedi, I mean, you're basically telling people like, yes, we are the Nazis. We are the space Nazis, and we control the universe, and we kill people and do bad things, and we're just waiting for the Jedi to come out so we can kill them too. You know, come out and save everybody. Try to save anybody anyway, so we can kill them too. This is what formed the rebellion. Like, seriously, it's so stupid. I thought this was the dumbest thing. And poor writing. Again, poor writing, so. They make it out like Obi Wan I think it's in the second episode. Some of the Inquisitors are talking to Obi Wan Kenobi, and they make it out like he either did not know that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker, or that he thought that Anakin, who he did know was Darth Vader, he thought that he had died. When he left him in Episode 3 in the lava.
Lord Vader will be pleased. You didn't know. He's alive, Obi-Wan. Anakin Skywalker is alive. He's been looking for you for a long time.
This makes absolutely no sense. In fact, for the life of me, I can't remember. If anybody knows this, leave a comment in the comment section below. But I want to say that there's somewhere in some media or something, or maybe it was in the Kenobi book, where somebody is talking to Obi Wan Kenobi, or, people are talking amongst themselves as the Resistance. And it would have been before this time in the timeline where they talk about how the Emperor's new kind of lackey or, new enforcer, Darth Vader, is going around hunting Jedi. Darth Vader is the most famous character, not just character, but like one of the most famous people in the Empire. He's one of the most famous people in the Empire, has all of this power. He's very well known, and you mean to tell me that Obi-Wan doesn't know that he's around? That was stupid. Also, if you didn't, so then if you say, okay, well, no, he did know that there was a person named Darth Vader going around, but he didn't know that that's Anakin. Watch this clip.
You have done well, my new apprentice. Now, Lord Vader, go and bring peace to the Empire.
Twisted by the dark side, young Skywalker has become. The boy you trained, gone he is, consumed by Darth Vader.
Yeah, so maybe the writers forgot about that. They didn't realize, oh man, the Emperor called Anakin Skywalker Darth Vader, and Obi-Wan Kenobi heard him say it. So, they forgot all about that. Like, this is really poor writing. They needed to do this much better. There are scenes in which Reva should be killed by the other Inquisitors.
You are too impulsive.
I'm sick of wasting time. This place is beneath us.
It makes their interactions seem really nonsensical and unnatural. It's kind of like if you see, so if I'm watching The Boys right now, but if you see like Homelander from The Boys, you can tell like he's about to kill some people, and then you'll see people get killed by Homelander for different reasons. But it feels like that kind of situation where it's like, man, the thing that you're saying right now would normally get you killed. Sith are evil, and they don't care about each other. They don't care about anything. They care about power and pleasure and their own emotion, like rage, all heightened emotions, power, and pleasure. That's like their whole thing. And so there's a couple of times where Reva really, really gets some people pissed off and does not suffer any consequences of it that make no sense. Especially the Grand Inquisitor, who's basically like his own... Like, the Grand Inquisitor is basically like Darth Vader to the Inquisitors. Like, you think like the Emperor, Darth Vader, and then the Grand Inquisitor. And the Grand Inquisitor lords over the other Inquisitors just as Darth Vader lords over everybody else. So, yeah, he would have killed her. I don't know why she survived. Multiple times, Leia and Obi-Wan are heard talking very loudly. And it's not just about, they're heard talking very loudly about the fact that Obi-Wan is a Jedi.
Why aren't you using your lightsaber? Maybe it's because you're not really a Jedi. I read that Jedi can make things float. Make me float.
What?
I want to float.
No.
Because you can't.
Because if I use the Force, then it'll draw attention to us.
You haven't even told me your name.
Ben.
It's not a Jedi name.
And they're around other people. They're not even trying to hide it. It's not like, oh, Obi-Wan, you're a Jedi. Why don't you just do it? No, it's like, hey, Obi-Wan. Hey, you. Yeah, you're a Jedi. What are you doing? Jedi are wanted by the Empire. This makes no sense to me. This was really stupid. And not only that, but it's happened multiple times with other things. So other characters talk very loudly while making secret plans, doing secret stuff that other characters, with the other characters sitting right near them. There's one where you actually see some people who are, this woman basically, she's helping Obi Wan Kenobi to do some stuff, and she's talking on a little communicator, and she's like,
God, look at this place. What are they keeping down there?
and then she looks over and there's a guy looking at her suspiciously because he's sitting like 5 feet from her, and she's like trying to break into this place. Oh my, it was so stupid. I'm trying not to get into any spoilers so I don't go into full context. But yeah, it was really bad. The writing here for the characters, I just want to know, like, these people actually, I think, if this is Joby Harold, I think he should probably be fired. And I'm serious. Like, I hate to say stuff like that, but really, he should be fired. Sorry. Multiple times, Leia runs from adults, and they cannot easily catch her. Like, so I have a son. He is almost as big. Like I said before, he's almost as big as Leia is in this, but he's only 3. He's only 3, almost 4. And if he ran away from me, I could easily catch him. But basically, there's some bounty hunters who try to catch Leia, and then Obi-Wan himself, who's a Jedi, okay? And, I mean, you gotta remember, he's a soldier. He didn't just use the Force to do things. He's physically strong, a physically strong guy. He's not able to catch her in this. And I'll put up some clips, so hopefully you guys get to see those clips and look at how goofy she looks running. And then you wonder, like, how were you not able to catch her? It's basically just poor writing to be able to make the plot move forward. Alright, now here's something that I really was irritated with. Obi-Wan has trouble using the Force now. Much like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Why? Why do this? This makes no sense because Obi-Wan's mission was a two-part mission. He was to go to Tatooine. He was to leave Luke with his family, his uncle Owen. And then he was also supposed to train to become more connected to the Force so he could communicate with Force ghosts. It's very well laid out in this scene here.
And what of the boy?
To Tatooine. Do his family send him?
I will take the child and watch over him.
In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
Training?
An old friend has learned the path to immortality.
Qui-Gon?
How to commune with him, I will teach you.
So I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? Immediately I said that to my wife. I'm like, his mission was to go and become really connected with the Force. He should be... Basically, he should have, talking to Force Ghosts was something that other people were not able to do until Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was supposed to be the first one to learn how to do this, and that's like a level of connectivity with the Force that other people didn't have, even Yoda. So how is he not able to... oh my god, how is he not able to do this? So he basically has to relearn the Force throughout the show, and then by the end of the show, you kind of get like it's almost like a video game where you start, like the God of War video games, where you're super powerful by the end of the one game, then it ends, and then the next game starts, and you're weak again and have to regain all your power. That's what it's like. So the Inquisitors in this are quite stupid. There is a scene in which Reva and the Grand Inquisitor have Obi Wan Kenobi cornered, but they don't attack him, and then he just escapes.
I found him. We have him.
And I cannot risk you losing him again. Move aside.
We will
like he literally walks out, and it's so stupid. Yeah, I didn't like that. That was really bad. Yeah, it was really stupid. There is a terrible fight scene between Obi Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader early on in the series. Basically, Obi Wan Kenobi is a weakling now, and he's not the hero character that we want, that we, basically came here to see. Why do that? Why show us the hero character that we didn't want to see? Even if you made it in such a way where they didn't fight, or maybe he was scared of fighting, but not that he doesn't have the ability. Obi Wan Kenobi knows how to swing a lightsaber. He knows how to use the Force, and as I said before, it's a plot hole that he's not able to at his full capacity, or even more so than we've seen in the past. Also, they have this lady from the path as he's fighting Darth Vader, well, kind of not fighting Darth Vader, getting his butt kicked by Darth Vader. This lady, she shoots her blaster and blows up some canisters that blow up and make a kind of a fire. And I was like, why didn't you shoot Darth Vader instead of shooting the barrels of explosive material? I also want to ask the question, how did the fire stop Darth Vader from killing Obi-Wan Kenobi? Why didn't you walk around the fire? Why didn't you use the Force to just grab Obi-Wan Kenobi? Why drop him on the ground and let him escape? It made no sense, especially that he's so driven by revenge for the person who left him to die. So, there is a scene where Leia gets captured. I said that she gets captured in the beginning, and then she gets captured in the middle, and then basically we have to resolve both of those, her getting captured. So the lady from the path, who is kind of helping them, she's a side character, she says, and I quote,
"She knows everything. Where we are, what we're doing. Reckon if she finds us, we need to prepare an evacuation."
My question to you, lady, is how does Leia know that? Basically, in the show, they're brought, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia are brought by this woman from the path, this secret organization for helping people escape the Empire, and they're brought to one safe house on one particular planet, and then they're going to get transported from that place to another place where they will then be freed. Like, not that they're being held captive, but then they're going to be transported from this planet to another planet, and from that planet they'll get a transport back to Alderaan, where Princess Leia belongs. That's all she knows, though, that she doesn't know anybody else's names other than the one woman she met. She doesn't know where any of the other operations are. She doesn't know how they do what they do. She doesn't know where the drop-off point is. Again, bad dialogue, bad writing. It would not be such a huge deal that Leia gets captured. Leia is a 10-year-old girl, and she doesn't have any idea about any of these things. It was stupid for them to have said that. There comes a point in the show where there's an interrogation scene between Reva, the Inquisitor, who's holding her captive, and Princess Leia. And so it's established that, first of all, both Jedi and Sith can read minds. Jedi can not forcibly, rip people's memories and stuff, but they can kind of sense what other people are thinking. And then Sith can straight up put their hand out and just interrogate you, torture you, rip things out of your mind. But Reva, and she does this in the show to adult people, but then when she tries to read Leia's mind,
This a stare contest.
You're strong.
she can't inexplicably. This is just like Rey from Rey from episode 7. Leia not only is Leia not trained in the Force or anything like that, being able to deflect Force users from going into her mind, she is a child, and Reva is a trained Sith Inquisitor. It's, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing here with these characters. They're making everybody lame. They're basically breaking their own rules in how these characters are, and due to that, they can make the characters do whatever they want, but then they also remove, you can no longer say, oh, Inquisitors are so awesome. They may be, or they may not, depending on context, because if they're fighting a little child like Leia, they might not be. So, yes, it's stupid. This interrogation scene, is a big part of the show, and it relies heavily on the actors for Leia. and Reva, Moses Ingram and Vivian Blair. But I'm sorry, Vivian Blair is too young. She's a child, so and so you can kind of forgive that, right? You know, child actors are notorious for not exactly being the best, right? And that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. But Reva here, again, just is not intimidating at all. And then you have, and then her bouncing off of a child actor who isn't, you know, she's not a prodigy, and it's fine. Her acting skill is as good as you would expect from a kid. So just, it's like a terrible scene, and it takes up a lot of time, and it's like, come on, the dialogue here is so stupid. They really needed to have somebody come in. And like, I wonder, you know, normally they do test screenings where you have people watching and then they go like, what's up with the dialogue? Why didn't they, or you have people read the script maybe and go, why is the dialogue written so poorly? The cinematography for a lot of the action scenes is not very good. There's a lot of these cuts, which I've talked about a lot with action movies. They do too many cuts and you kind of miss out on the action. So basically it's like in a fight scene, like here's the guy, here's my fist, I'm going to punch him, but then just before it hits him, the camera pans over here and you basically only see the aftermath of the punch. You don't actually see the punch land. You don't see anybody actually react to being hit by certain things. And then a couple of times there's action. The action is actually happening in the background and we're focusing on something else. I hate when shows do that. There's also a scene where Obi Wan Kenobi, he goes to like strike. He full-fledged just swings his lightsaber as hard as he can, and it actually bounces off of a stormtrooper. That's so stupid because basically lightsabers are supposed to be these ridiculously powerful things that can cut through anything, even blast doors. But it bounces off of this stormtrooper. This changes, if that's true and that's now canon, that like changes the nature of a lot of things in the Star Wars universe. Because stormtrooper armor should not be able to block lightsabers. I mean, that's it. Yeah. Some especially poor writing that I saw was there was a scene in which Obi-Wan has now rescued Princess Leia, and he is walking with her under his jacket.
I want the base shut down. This is her.
Almost there.
This is happening at a time when the facility that they're within, they're within this facility in which, you know, the Empire now has detected them. They know that this is going on. Everybody's on high alert, and they're walking through this huge hangar with all these soldiers walking right past them, looking around. I mean, somebody would have seen this. It was so stupid, and it looks terrible, and it's just dumb. How would you? It's like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know. What are you doing with these characters? This is supposed to be Star Wars. Star Wars used to be just the standard for fantasy, sci-fi, action and adventure, and now we're getting this crap. Also, no one ever thinks to check for trackers in this show. Multiple times, there's times where I would be like, hey, trackers. And then it eventually does happen where somebody gets a tracker planted on them, and the only reason that the plot continues in the way that it does is because of this tracker. And you're like, hey, you know, trackers exist. Why not check for them? I want to say that episode 4 was a waste of time. It was basically a sidetracked plot to rescue Leia. So basically, you have the first few episodes where Obi-Wan, you know, it kind of introduces the story, Obi-Wan, and what has to happen. And then Obi-Wan goes and he rescues Leia the first time. Then he immediately, in the next episode, she is captured again by the end of that episode. And then you have episode 4. Episode 4, again, like I said, is retreading what you've already seen in the last 2 episodes. So, yeah, this is the rescue immediately after rescuing and then defending Leia in the second and third episodes, respectively. So he rescues her in the second episode, defends her in the third episode. By the end of the third episode, she's captured again. And then you have episode 4, which just goes through that storyline again. You could have cut out episode 4, and from episode 3, you could have gone like episode 1, 2, 3, cut out episode 4, like, try it. Watch the end of episode, so like cut out kind of the end of episode 3 and then watch the beginning of episode 5, and it would have worked perfectly without that episode. It was unneeded. They could have either done 5 episodes for the series, or they could have done 1 episode of Obi-Wan doing anything other than what we see him doing. You know, these characters could have done a little extra thing or whatever. They could have had another episode, is my point. And it was stupid. It was wasted. I hate wasted time. And as writers, you should be trying to remove any wasted time as much as possible. Lots of squandered opportunities to make Obi-Wan look cool. We kind of came to see the show Obi wan Kenobi. And in a show called Obi wan Kenobi, you would think that you would be seeing a lot of Obi wan Kenobi, exploring the character, making him look cool, and you just don't see it. And there's some opportunities where you think like, oh, they're going to do this and it's going to be cool, and then it just doesn't happen that way. I do want to say that the Path, this organization that helps them, isn't the best operation. There's a scene where they have all of these people and they're like, hey, we've got to help these people, and then, quote, these people have been waiting here for months. Why? Why would these people have been waiting anywhere for months? You have all these ships. Why not take, like, so your plan is to take Princess Leia and Obi Wan Kenobi. You're going to put them on a ship. That ship is going to take them to a planet. At that planet, they're going to go to another ship, and from that ship, they're going to go back to where they go. Why don't you just take them, and instead of taking them to this planet where they're transferred to another ship, why don't you just take them to the place that they're going in the first place? See? See what I'm saying? Doesn't make any sense. Does not make any sense. Why wouldn't you take all of the refugees and people that you're trying to help? Why wouldn't you just take them to like a highly populated area and release them? Like help them get them identities or help them hide or whatever. But if you took them all to like Coruscant or a highly populated area, it'd be very easy for them to hide. Instead of taking them to one planet and holding them there for months and months and months and then eventually, okay, let's move to another place. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. That's a really really good way to get your people all killed that you're trying to help. Then there's another part where the people are like, we only need to hold out long enough for you to get all of you out. So they have all these people. They're under attack by the Empire. Darth Vader is coming to get Obi wan Kenobi and Leia. And they're stuck in here with all these refugees or people from the Path. And my question is, okay, so let's say you hold them off. You hold off Darth Vader. All the people get going for no spoilers, really, but I do just want to. So basically, there's a problem with their ship. And getting their ship off the ground because the hangar doors are locked shut, and so they need to open the hangar doors and fly out of there. Okay, well the Empire is in orbit, which means that there's a Star Destroyer sitting in orbit, and so you hold them off. You hold them off long enough to get the hangar doors open. Well, you're going to fly off, and the Star Destroyer is going to destroy you, isn't it? Star Destroyer. No. That's not how it ever works in Star Wars, because we immediately, when that happens, get into an episode 7, or not episode 7, episode 8, excuse me, The Last Jedi, where they're doing the slowest chase sequence ever with the Path versus the Empire. It's really stupid. I'll get into it in a second, but yeah, it's really dumb. Why would, I don't understand. It's not a given that you're going to be able to break a blockade of Star Destroyers, okay? Why would Reva be sent to deal with Obi wan Kenobi rather than Darth Vader coming himself? So there's a couple times where once they realize that that Obi wan Kenobi is the one doing all of this stuff, Reva goes to handle it rather than Darth Vader himself. That really does seem kind of out of character because Darth Vader is so fixated on taking revenge again on the man that left him to die. So I thought that was really stupid. There is kind of a plan to fight Vader that is hatched between Obi wan Kenobi and another character, and it makes no sense. And it actually makes no sense because the way that you hear them talk about the plan, you think that it's going to be that this character is going to almost... basically, Obi wan Kenobi is going to distract Darth Vader. And then this other character is going to come in and deal the killing blow. But then Obi wan Kenobi gets on a ship and leaves, and the other character is left to fight Darth Vader themselves. And I'm thinking, and immediately I looked at my wife and I was like, did he betray her? No, that was the plan all along. So then what was the distraction? Like, it didn't seem like you guys made any kind of plan to actually get him at all. And that leads to the really cool battle with Darth Vader and another character Darth Vader does some cool stuff here. Yeah, but that's like a no spoilers section. If you've seen the show already, that's like a no spoilers way of putting that. Reva finds Obi wan Kenobi's communicator at one point. He basically just drops it. plot contrivance, Obi Wan Kenobi just so happens to drop his communicator, and on the communicator she hears a message from Bail Organa, and all Bail Organa says is,
He's found. If he's learned of the children. Well, and Tatooine. Owen, help the boy.
Tatooine the boy. That's all she hears. And inexplicably, she somehow knows that he is on Owen's farm, and she knows where to find Owen's farm. That information is never given out. There's never anything talked about how important the boy is. Who is the boy to Reva? Why would she assume that he is important? It gets into some more stuff about it later. Obviously, the boy, we, the audience, know that the boy is Luke. Reva somehow immediately knows that Luke is Darth Vader's son, and so she has to go kill him or go get him, and that Obi wan Kenobi will show up there or whatever to protect him. I have no idea how she would have known that because it was never told to her. That actually happens a lot where characters are just able to know things that they shouldn't know. Again, we're talking about this spaceship chase. Even my wife said as we watched this, during the spaceship chase, why does the Emperor not launch TIE fighters? It's the same thing as The Last Jedi. It's so stupid. Launch the TIE fighters. Use torpedoes. You even see this little tiny ship that's like this big up against a ship that's like this, just massive. It's a Star Destroyer versus the little tiny transport. And the transport is getting hit by lasers, and I'm like, then it should be dead. The laser should destroy it. And it doesn't. It's so stupid. Owen and Beru, Luke's aunt and uncle, they decide to fight Reva. Basically, they find out that Reva is coming to get Luke. And I'm like, why? Why? Run! You're never going to survive fighting a Force user. And actually, it's interesting because Owen is like, hey, we need to get out of here. And Beru is like, no, we'll stand and fight. Man, I'm telling you right now, my wife, if somebody was coming to kill my son, like my actual son, not my nephew, my son, and that person had super Sith demon Jedi powers, I would not, and my wife said, we're going to fight. I'd smack her upside the head with a freaking bat, knock her out, throw her over my shoulder, grab my son and my daughter, and we get the heck out of Dodge, man. I might be a guy, I might be a nice guy. I'm a little bit physically fit. I even own a shotgun and a handgun and a flamethrower, but I'm not going to be able to take on almost basically literally Satan himself as he comes to my house with magic powers, okay, and lightsabers. All right, I'm not doing it. I have no idea how this was so dumb. And Owen was like, no, really, we need to get out of here. There is a pretty cool scene, though, where Owen actually stands his ground against Reva. He doesn't beat her, but he stands his ground, and I thought that was pretty cool.
You really love the boy. Like he's your own.
He is my own.
And then suddenly, for no reason, for the final fight, Obi-Wan is strong again. As I said in the beginning, he's not able to use the Force anymore. He's not so cool with his Jedi abilities anymore. But then all of a sudden, kind of it's one of those situations where it's like a motivational speech at the end, or it's a memory. He thinks of something, and all of a sudden he's just like, boom, I'm back, baby. And I'm like, no, that's not exactly how that should have worked. You should have been this strong the whole time. I know that was really long. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to move into my final statement and review score. I may not have covered everything again. Let me know in the comment section below some of the things that I missed. So basically, this show feels like a bargain bin Star Wars fan fiction. I think that they really, really, really made a mistake not trying to go more the way of the book, where they basically explore Obi wan Kenobi's character on his own. Maybe dealing with some stuff on Tatooine. Maybe they could have even had some stuff with Darth Vader through side scenes that aren't related to what Obi wan Kenobi's doing, but they definitely shouldn't have brought in Reva. They shouldn't have had Leia. It should have been more about Obi wan Kenobi himself. It plays a lot on nostalgia, but doesn't have much in the way of actual substance. By the end of the show, it basically adds nothing. You don't know any more or less about Obi wan Kenobi than you already did. You're probably going to be a whole lot disappointed in him because he's not so great. And yeah, he's not so great here, but then when you see him even in episode 1, A New Hope, he fights Darth Vader and holds his ground, and then in episode 4, New Hope, and then in episode 1, 2, and 3, he's like a total BA dude running out there Jedi Knight fighting people. So he's really disappointing in the show, and this, it doesn't add anything. That's my point. They could have completely cut, like, why does this exist? Why does this exist? It's a cash grab. It doesn't make much sense, though, because Disney Plus, I mean, I don't think that people are going to pay money to come and see it, necessarily. So basically, it's just some added padding onto their Disney Plus library. Yeah. So, because of all of this, though, especially with the adding nothing and the poor writing, just bad writing always loses. It never wins. I'm going to give this a 1 thumbs down, below average rating. Not really a whole lot to see here, and if you really like the character of Obi Wan Kenobi, just watch the movies. I would even say a lot of the extra stuff they're doing other than Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett wasn't great, but I thought it was okay. And the Mandalorian was good. But basically just watch all of the, episodes 1 through 6, and that's it. You don't need any more Star Wars than that, because everything else just starts to get disappointing and actually drags the series down like a freaking anchor. A series of movies, I mean. But that's all I've got today, guys. I do want to thank you all for watching and just say, God bless you all. Have a good night, and may the Force be with you.